Sairam. Welcome to Science class, 9th standard, state syllabus. Chapter name is Diversity in Living Organisms. And the last part, that is part 6. We have to study about vertebrata and nomenclature. Before going to study the vertebrata as well as the nomenclature, we have to revise what we have studied in the last class. Phylum Chordata, and we have studied before the phylum Chordata all the 9 phyla of kingdom Animalia, that is invertebrates, and now in the last class we have studied about the phylum Chordata. What are the characteristics of this phylum Chordata? Possess notochord. Notochord is present in chordates, as well as these are triploblastic. All the 3 germ layers are seen. And coelomate. Coelomate means true coelom will be present. And chordata is divided into again 2 classes, that is protochordata as well as vertebrata. And what is protochordata? Notochord is a rod-like structure, and it is a supporting structure which separates the nervous tissue as well as the gut. And vertebrata, they have true vertebral column. Vertebrata is again divided into 5 classes. Those are pisces, amphibians, reptiles, aves and mammals. In the last class, we have discussed about the pisces, reptilians and amphibians. Pisces, the fishes are included in this class. Skin is covered with scales or plates, and they obtain oxygen which is dissolved in water. They can take only dissolved oxygen for respiration. And then amphibia. Amphibians found both on land as well as in water. And they have mucus glands in the skin. This is the special feature of amphibians. And the next is reptiles. And the reptiles, these also have scales on its body, and they lay eggs with tough coverings. In the previous class, I have given the assignment and check the answers for that. What is notochord? Notochord is a long rod-like support structure that runs along the back of the animal, separating the nervous tissue as well as the gut. Differentiate between amphibians and reptiles. Amphibians, they have mucus glands on the skin, and reptiles scales on the skin. And they breathe through lungs or gills, and they breathe through lungs. And what are the characteristics of protochordata? The characteristics are, these are exclusively marine animals. They can live only in sea or ocean water, and they show bilaterally symmetrical. Already I explained what is bilateral symmetry. And then triploblastic, coelomate, and they may not have a proper notochord present all stages in their life or the entire length of the animal. Notochord may be present throughout the life, or sometimes it is present only till some age. And continuation of that, these vertebrata classes. In the previous class already we have studied about the 3 classes, and in today's class the remaining 2 classes we are going to study. That is aves. All the birds are included in this class of kingdom Animalia, and the class that is aves. And these are warm-blooded animals. What is warm-blooded? Warm-blooded animals. In the previous class, we have studied about the cold-blooded animals. What is cold-blooded animals? The organisms which changes its body temperature according to the surroundings. Their body temperature is not fixed. That we have studied in the previous class. But here we have warm-blooded animals. What is this warm-blooded means? Their body temperature is fixed. They doesn't change the temperature according to the surroundings. In that, aves comes under warm-blooded animals. And they have 4-chambered heart. These aves have 4-chambered heart. Till reptilia, we have seen 3-chambered heart. In fishes, 2-chambered heart. But in crocodile, we have seen 4-chambered heart. Exception is that one. And here we have seen 4-chambered heart. And they lay eggs. This aves also lays eggs for the production of their offsprings. And they have outer covering of feathers. You can observe the feathers here. That is, the body is covered with feathers which help in flight. And 2 forelimbs are modified. Among the 4 limbs, 2 limbs, the front 2 limbs, forelimbs nothing but front limbs, are modified into feathers which help for flight. And they breathe through lungs. In the pisces, they used to breathe with gills, and then in reptilia, either in amphibians, with either with lungs or gills. In reptilia, lungs, as well as in aves also, they breathe through lungs. And they have hollow bones. This is the special characteristic feature of birds, also called as pneumatic bones. That means the bones are very light in weight. There is a hollow space so that the birds can fly easily in the air. This is a special characteristic feature of aves. Example, different birds are there. And the next class is Mammalia. Mammalia is the advanced class. And here animals are warm-blooded animals. As we have seen in aves also, these are also warm-blooded animals. Again, warm-blooded animals already I explained. They doesn't change the temperature of the body according to the surroundings. And these are 4-chambered heart animals. These organisms or the animals consist of 4 chambers. And the another special feature of this is they possess mammary glands. This is a special feature of mammals for the production of milk to nourish their young ones. And skin has hairs, sweat, and oil glands. The skin has hairs, sweat, as well as oil glands. The sweat glands, they excrete the sweat, and hairs for the protection, and oil for the production of oil to the skin. And most of them produce live young ones. That is, they do not lay eggs, they produce directly to their young ones, except platypus and echidna. These two lay eggs. Rather than giving birth to directly to their young ones, exceptions, this platypus and echidna lay eggs. And kangaroos give birth to very poorly developed young ones. See, this is the platypus and this is echidna. Duck-billed platypus also we can call this as. These two are egg-laying mammals. These two are exceptions in Mammalia class. These are different examples of mammals. Just overall recall, we have Kingdom Animalia consists of multicellular organisms, and these are heterotrophs, cannot manufacture their own food. And these are again divided into two classes, that is vertebrate as well as invertebrate. And invertebrate that doesn't possess any backbone. And here vertebrates will have a true backbone, and invertebrates already we have finished, and vertebrates also we have finished. Just look after that. And the fishes, they have scales and breathes via gills, and these are cold-blooded animals. And then amphibians. Amphi means both. They can live both in water as well as on land. They have moist, slimy skin, and their legs in water, and these are also cold-blooded animals. And the reptiles, they have dry, scaly skins. If we see in fishes also have scales, those are moist in nature. And these reptiles, they have dry, scaly skin and lays eggs on dry land. These are also cold-blooded animals. And the birds, these have feathers as well as wings and has a beak also, and they lay eggs. And these are warm-blooded animals. And mammals. Mammals has fur or hair, and they feed young ones with milk with the help of mammary glands. And these are warm-blooded animals. Till now we have finished about the invertebrates as well as the vertebrates. And the last topic of this lesson, that is binomial nomenclature, now we will study. Is there a need for systematic naming of living organisms? Yes, definitely the need is there, because millions of species have been identified on our planet Earth. And definitely we need that systematic naming for all those organisms. And this is important to communicate unambiguously about animal species. In order to know about the species wherever we go on our planet Earth without any confusion, we need systematic naming. For example, if you take the example of dog, and the dog is named by in different languages with different names. For example, in Hindi we will call it as kutta, and in Sanskrit we call it as shunaka. So nobody can understand this one properly if we go outside the country. So it will be a confusion for us. For that purpose, in order to avoid that confusion, the scientists have worked on this and has given the systematic naming of living organisms, and that is also called as scientific naming of organisms, and this is universally accepted. There will be no confusion, and wherever we go, we will follow this naming of organisms. And every recognized species on earth, every recognized ones on the earth is given a two-part scientific name. And this system is called binomial nomenclature. This system is called binomial. Bi means two. Nomial means names. And two names are given for each and every species. And who has given this binomial nomenclature? Already I have given while explaining in the introduction part itself, that is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus has given the binomial nomenclature in 18th century. Already I told, binomial nomenclature consists of two parts. And the first part is genus name, and the second part is the species name. Example, Homo sapiens. This Homo is genus name, sapiens is species name. Homo sapiens is the scientific name of human beings, and Apis mellifera is the scientific name of honeybee. And there are some rules we have to follow while writing the scientific names. We cannot write as we want. And there are some rules we have to follow that. In that, the first rule is the name of the genus begins with a capital letter. You have to remember that. The genus name should begin with a capital letter and the species name should begin with a small letter. You have to remember these rules. When printed, the scientific name is given in italics. If you are going to take a print of those names, that should be written in italics. When written by hand, the genus name and species name have to be underlined separately like this. You should not underline both by joining. We should underline separately the genus name as well as the species name should be underlined separately. And here are some examples of the binomial nomenclature of some common plants as well as animals. This is the common name. This column shows you the common name and this column shows you the binomial nomenclature. Pea plant, Pisum sativum, onion plant, Allium cepa, mango plant, Mangifera indica, wheat plant, Triticum aestivum, banyan tree, Ficus bengalensis, soya bean, Glycine max. If you see some animals, frog, Rana hexadactyla, cat, Felis domestica, dog, Canis familiaris, housefly, Musca domestica, and cobra, Naja naja, common crab, Cyprinus carpia. This is one of the fish. So, in order to avoid confusion, we have to follow this systematic naming of organisms, that is binomial nomenclature. And hope you all have understood about this lesson, and today I am going to give some assignment. You complete it. Write the characteristics of aves, name any two egg-laying mammals, and what is binomial nomenclature. And the next question is, what are the rules to be followed while writing scientific names? Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.